and she agrees that she will look at him, right? Like she'll see what she thinks of him. Really, the biggest thing in this scene is just introducing the nurse. So, what is the nurse's relationship to Juliet? Yeah, totally, like a second mother. Okay. So wealthy women at this time tended not to nurse their own children. They would have like a servant who had recently had a child who would nurse their baby for them. And then sort of serve as like a nanny, second mother type of person throughout her life. So this person has been with Juliet since she was born, probably is closer to her than her mother even. So they have a very close relationship. Okay. The nurse is a character you will need to know that provides a lot of comic relief. So in a play like this, where you have a lot of tragedy and a lot of suspense, you also need to have moments that sort of break the tension and like let the audience breathe for a second. And the nurse is one of those characters, okay? So in this scene, she tells this big long story about Juliet falling and hitting her head when she was young, okay? And that's sort of her character. She just kind of like tells like these embarrassing stories, sometimes tells kind of like inappropriate jokes, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like whenever yeah, whenever Lady Capulet was like, by having him making yourself no less, and the nurse is like no less, bigger, like things like whenever you get married.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she can't help herself. Like she interjects these jokes. So that line is at the bottom of page 1052. And like Lady Capulet's trying to like talk about like love and like, all of this. And the nurse is like, nay, bigger, women grow by men, like basically saying that like, yeah, like when you get married, you'll get bigger because you'll get pregnant, right? So she just kind of always like interjects these little comments. Okay, so that's scene 3, sorry. And then scene 4 takes place on the way to the party. And we know that Romeo is a bummer, but what is he specifically concerned about in this scene?
He's feeling something bad's gonna happen.
Good, so he's had this dream, right, that something bad is going to happen at this party or as a result of this party. So if you look at, it's actually towards the end of the scene, page 1057, line 106. Romeo says, my mind misgives some consequence, yet hanging in the stars shall bitterly begin his fearful date with this night's revels and expire the term of a despised life closed in my breast by some vile forfeit of untimely death. So he's basically saying that like he thinks that this party is going to somehow set in motion a chain of events that's going to be problematic. Okay. That is foreshadowing. Absolutely, because it's also dramatic irony, right? Because we, as the audience, know that this is going to end badly, right? They tell us in the prologue that that Romeo and Juliet are both going to kill themselves. So like we know that this is not going to end well. But Romeo doesn't know that, right? So the other thing that's really important in this scene is that we meet Mercutio. So Mercutio is technically not a Capulet or a Montague. He's friends with Romeo, but he is also friendly with the Capulets. So like he is invited to the party himself. Okay, he's not crashing it like Benvolio and Romeo are. What is a character trait that we could use to describe Mercutio? Fun, definitely. And funny, okay. This is another character that's going to be comic relief. So you'll want to note that. Okay, he's kind of like energetic. He's kind of over the top. He's like always happy. Okay. So Mercutio is trying to get Romeo to be in a better mood. Okay, he speaks in a lot of puns that you'll see explained in the footnotes. And when Romeo tries to talk about this dream that he had, Mercutio launches into this speech, which is the Queen Mab speech. It starts at the bottom of page 1054. This is probably the second most famous speech in this play. And he just kind of goes on this wild rambling about Queen Mab. So who is Queen Mab? Yeah.
The Queen of Fairies.
Good, she's the Queen of Fairies, right? And you can read that in that footnote. And what does Queen Mab do? Good, she gives people dreams. So his whole speech is really like giving examples of the dreams that she brings to people. He says in line 70, and in this state she gallops night by night through lovers' brains, and then they dream of love. Over courtiers' knees that dream on curtsies straight. Over lawyers' fingers who straight dream on fees. Over ladies' lips who straight on kisses dream. Okay, so she's bringing people dreams based on who they are and what they're doing. Okay, so not exactly, you don't have to understand every single line that's in this speech. It's just sort of more of a general understanding of the purpose of this speech. So what is the purpose? Why does Mercutio do this whole thing? Yeah. Good. He's trying to point out to Romeo that like dreams don't really necessarily mean anything. Okay, so he's trying to cheer Romeo up and make him feel better and point out that like dreams don't matter necessarily. And you see that at the bottom of page 1056. Romeo says, "Peace, peace, Mercutio, thou talkest of nothing." And Mercutio says, "True, I talk of dreams, which are the children of an idle brain." So he's trying to like point out to Romeo, just because you had this dream doesn't mean that anything bad's gonna happen. Like we can still go to this party and have fun. So in this scene, Mercutio is a foil of another character. Who would that character be? Yes, Romeo, okay? So Romeo is sad, as we know, right? And everything Mercutio says, he's like, "It'll be fine, come on," right? He's like trying to like be like, "No, you can dance, like borrow Cupid's wings, everything's gonna be great," right? And everything he says, Romeo's just like, "No, it's gonna be terrible." Okay, so, okay, thank you. So all of these, Mercutio's like energy, fun, and excitement really contrast and point out how sad Romeo is. Okay, go get your breakfast. We'll have like 10 minutes to eat breakfast, and then we'll read scene 5 real quick. So let's go ahead. So we are on page 1057.
Where's Pot Pan that he helps not to take away? He shift a trencher, he scrape a trencher, when good manners shall lie all in one or two men's hands, and they unwashed too, 'tis a foul thing. Away with the joint stools, remove the court cover, look to the plate. Good thou, save me a piece of marchpane, and as thou lovest me, let the porter let in Susan Grindstone and Nell, Anthony and Pot Pan. Aye, boy. Ready. You are looked for and called for, asked for and sought for in the great chamber.
We cannot be here and there too. Cheerily, boys, be brisk a while, and the longer liver take all.
Welcome, gentlemen. Ladies that have their toes unplated with corns will have a bout with you. Ah, my mistresses, which of you all will now deny to dance? She that makes dainty, she I'll swear hath corns. Have I come near you now? Welcome, gentlemen. I have seen the day that I have worn a visor and could tell the spring tale in a fair lady's ears, such as would please. 'Tis gone, 'tis gone, 'tis gone. You're welcome, gentlemen. Come, musicians, play. A hole, give room and foot it, girls. More like you, knave. Turn the tables up and quench the fire. The room's grown too hot. Ah, Sarah, this unlooked for sport comes well. Nay, sit. Good cousin Patrick, for you and I are past our dancing days. How long is it now since last yourself and I were in a dance? My lady, 20 years. What, man, 'tis not so much, 'tis not so much. So since the nuptial of Lucentio comes Pentecost as quickly as it will, some 25 years, and then we marry.
'Tis more. His son is elder, sir. His son is 30.
When you tell me that, his son was but a ward 2 years ago.
What lady is that which doth enrich the hand of yonder knight? I know not, sir.
Okay, so, sorry, I was trying to stop it, but, okay, so Capulet's just like talking about, you know, parties that have passed. Okay, now Romeo is going to see Juliet from across the room. So when he asks, what lady is that which doth enrich the hand of yonder knight? He's looking at Juliet. Obviously, we can't see that because we aren't watching the play, but that's what's happening. Now, remind me, what's going on with Romeo?
He's upset because he loves her mom. He doesn't love him back.
He's in love with Rosaline, right? And when Benvolio says, I'll show you other girls that are more beautiful, what does Romeo say?
No.
No, no one in the history of the world has been as beautiful as Rosaline. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we hear him talk about seeing Juliet for the first time.
Oh, she doth teach the torches to burn bright. It seems she hangs upon the cheek of night like a rich jewel in an Ethiop's ear. Beauty too rich for use, for earth too dear. So shows a snowy dove trooping with crows as yonder lady o'er her fellow shows. The measure done, I'll watch her place of stand and, touching hers, make blessed my rude hand. Did my heart love till now? Forswear its sight, for I ne'er saw true beauty till this night.
Excuse me, Romeo. Okay, so he was just saying how there couldn't possibly be anyone more beautiful than Rosaline, and then he sees Juliet, and he says, I never saw true beauty till this night. So what does that maybe tell you about Romeo? Well, yeah, he's definitely dramatic. Where'd the marker go? There it is. Definitely dramatic, right? Oh my gosh. Okay. Also, I don't know if you guys know this word or not. Fickle. Okay, it's where like it's like you're not loyal, right? If you're like you like one thing and then you like something else and then go to something else, right? So he isn't like, I don't know, yeah. His affection is not very permanent, right? So he sees Juliet and immediately says that he's never seen true beauty before. We have a simile there in line 43. It seems she hangs upon the cheek of night like a rich jewel in an Ethiop's ear. He also says she doth teach the torches to burn bright. He describes her as a snowy dove among a troop of crows. So on your study guide, it says, what terms does he use to describe her? So I would just kind of make mention of how he's describing her in all of these terms of lightness, right? Like that she's shining, that she's brighter than the others. She's a snowy dove, right? So she, basically that she's like shining amongst everyone, however you want to put that. Okay, she sort of shines brighter than all the others. Okay, now Tybalt is going to recognize Romeo's voice. Remember that Romeo has a mask on, okay? But Tybalt recognizes Romeo's voice. What do we know about Tybalt? We haven't seen him since scene 1. He's what?
Was he one of the people in the fight?
Mm-hmm. What did somebody up here say? A hothead, right? So he's a fighter, he's a hothead, right? He's real aggressive. Yeah, short temper. Okay, so how do you think he's gonna feel about a Montague being at his party? Yeah, not happy, okay? So Tybalt doesn't recognize Romeo visually, but recognizes his voice, okay? And that's what he's going to go into here. He is going to sort of tell Capulet, hey, there's a Montague here, and is going to want to fight him.
This, by his voice, should be a Montague. Fetch me my rapier, boy. But dares the slave come hither, covered with an antique face, to fleer and scorn at our solemnity? Now, by the stock and honor of my kin, to strike him dead, I hold it not a sin.
Why, how come, kinsman, wherefore storm you so?
Uncle, this is a Montague, our foe, a villain that is hither come in spite, to scorn at our solemnity this night.
Young Romeo, is it?
'Tis he, that villain Romeo.
Content thee, gentle cuz, let him alone. Bears him like a portly gentleman, to say truth. Verona brags of him to be a virtuous and well-governed. I would not for the wealth of all this town here in my house do him disparagement. Therefore, be patient. Take no note of him. It is my will. Which without respect shall afford presents and put off these frowns. And ill-beseeming semblance for a fee.
It fits when such a villain is a guest. I'll not endure him.
He shall be endured. But, good man, boy, I say he shall. Go to. Am I the master here, or you? Go to. Will not endure him. God shall mend my soul. Don't make a mutiny among my guests. You'll succumb to him. You'll be the man.
My uncle, 'tis a shame.
Go to. You're a saucy boy. Is it so indeed? This trip and chance to stay you, I know what you must inquire me. Mary, 'tis time. Oh, well, said my heart, sir. You're a apprentice. Go. Be quiet, or more light. Shame, I'll make you quiet, but cheerly, my heart.
Patience forced with willful color meeting makes my flesh tremble in their different greeting. I will withdraw, but this intrusion shall now seem sweet, convert to bitter gall.
Okay, so Tybalt is like, hey, this guy's a Montague. I'm going to kill him, right? Tybalt thinks that he's there to make fun of them, right? That like, oh, we're having this party and he snuck in to like, basically to make fun of our party. And this is, dishonor. So to strike him dead, I hold it not a sin. What does Capulet say to him? Yeah, he says, leave him alone, right? He's like, it's a party. It says he bears him like a portly gentleman, and to say truth, Verona brags of him to be a virtuous and well-governed youth. And he's like, this is my house. Like, I'm not gonna just let it be. It's fine. We're having a party. I hear he's a good kid. Let's just let it be. Okay. And Tybalt does not love that, right? And keeps going like, no, he's a villain. Like, I will not endure him. And Capulet gets kind of mad. He's like, first of all, it's my house, so you're gonna do what I say. Yeah, right. And like in lines 81 to 86, he's sort of like yelling at Tybalt and then also like trying to still be the host and be like, oh, it's fine, let's have fun, and then like yelling at Tybalt and then like continuing to be the host. Okay. So Tybalt leaves at the end of this little interaction. I will withdraw, but this intrusion shall, now seeming sweet, convert to bitter gall. So do we think that he's going to let this go? Definitely not. Okay. So on number 2, when Tybalt is ready to seize Romeo and throw him out of the party, what does Capulet say? Why? And what is Tybalt's reaction to this? So kind of what we just talked about, right? He wants him to just let it be. It's a party. Romeo has a good reputation. And then Tybalt's reaction is to leave. He's mad and he vows to get revenge. Okay. Ooh, we're probably gonna get interrupted by announcements. But this is now the moment. Romeo and Juliet are finally going to meet, okay? And Romeo is going to use this extended metaphor of Juliet as a shrine and himself as a pilgrim. So at this time, religious pilgrims would go to different holy sites and like worship them. And so he's going to compare her to a shrine and himself to a pilgrim, and she will go along with that. So when she calls him pilgrim, that's why she's calling him that. Okay, here we go.
If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle fine as this, my lips to blushing pilgrims ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss.
Good pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much, which manly devotion shows in this. For saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss.
Have not saints lips and holy palmers too?
Aye, pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer.
Oh, then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. They pray.
Good morning, Belton High School. Recent results. Lady Pirates basketball started off their season with a win at home against Grandview, 44-41 on Monday night. Sophomore Anna Shrum had a career high of 24 points. Kendall Lewis with 10 and Kennedy Moss with 7. Earlier on the court, Belton JV won 41-24. Freshman CC Tybout led with 14 points and Felicity Howard added 11. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to
and to the republic
for
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's a great day to be a pirate.
I seriously forgot the words to the Pledge of Allegiance in the middle of that. That was really weird. Okay. So let's just try to finish this page real quick.
Saints do not need your grant for praise.
Then move not, while my prayers affect my tip. Thus from my lips, I thine my sins.
And have my lips the sin that they
Sin to my lips. Trespass simply urge. Give me my sin again.
Okay, so they meet on the floor, the dance floor. He is comparing himself to a pilgrim and her to a shrine. They're talking about how pilgrims kiss shrines. She says that saints have lips that they must use in prayer, and Romeo says, let lips do what hands do. So like if you're praying, your hands go like this, right? And so he's saying that their lips should do that. So they just see each other and then they start kissing, okay? And that's it. Then there is love. So that's where we'll stop for today, just because we're almost out of time. So we will finish this last bit of scene 5 when we come back, which will be Wednesday. That feels like a long time from now. We'll watch this scene in the movie, and then we'll have like a written response that we do. So your quiz over Act 1 is probably going to be on Friday then. So if you didn't finish reading scene 3 or scene 4, make sure that you get those finished over break. And then we will finish scene 5. It'll just take a couple minutes to finish it when we come back.